first place, the water tower had already had the first coat, or I had the coat on. Actually, it was just going to be white.
Okay.
So that's why it was only $16,000, because they were just going to paint the stripes on. And then it went a while, maybe 10 years or so, and then there was a lot of mold underneath. Remember all the mold
Yes.
underneath? And we kind of had a fit about that. So the Visitors Bureau then paid to have somebody come and clean out the mold. We cleaned the
Went
mold.
inside and cleaned it.
Yeah, well, it was on the outside, so they had to clean the outside. And then when at that time was chair, and I kept telling Jack Vavra that the colors, the red was pink, and that we need to do something about it, and he kept saying I was not seeing correctly. 2 years later, he goes, "You're right. I was coming up from McCool, and yeah, you're right, it's pink." And I said, "Good, it's pink." So they said, okay, they would send us a proposal.
It was Easter. I don't recall the year, but it was Easter. And the crew, we had already, approved doing the water tower and all that. The crew went out there and they sandblasted the water tower and primed it in preparation of new paint. Well, then Easter came and it was kind of a pea soup green color, and the whole water tower was that way. And I got a call. It was Easter Sunday. We just finished eating, and it was 1011 News out of Lincoln. And well, actually, it was my sister-in-law first. She said 1011 News is trying to get a hold of you, and I'm like, so why are they calling you? And she says, well, they know you're on city council and it's Sunday, and so they kind of figured that the mogul that ran the tow truck was the one that was on the city council, so they called your brother looking for you. I was like, oh, okay. So I called them back, and they wanted to come out to interview someone in York about the water tower. And I was like, why? What's wrong with the water tower? It's fine. And they're like, everybody driving up and down that interstate is looking at that pea green water tower, and they're freaking out that that's the new color it's going to be, and they want to interview somebody to get the lowdown on what's going on with the water tower. I hadn't been on city council for very long, and I was like, I am not stepping on anybody's toes. So the first person I called was Jack Vavra, our city administrator, and he says, I have no comment. He says, I just assume not talk to the media about the water tower. And I was like, oh, swell. So I guess I better call the mayor. So I called Chuck Harris, and Chuck was more than gracious. He went ahead and did an interview with 1011 to, calm everybody's fears that the water tower was not going to be left pea green for very long, that they would be putting the colors back on it.
Now, when they sent us the proposal, it was over $100,000. But we balked at it because part of it was they had to go inside and do some inside maintenance work. Well, we didn't think we should have to pay for that.
No.
So we kind of sent it back to them and said, tell us how much the paint will cost, and then we would do the paint. And then Jack Vavra said, no, forget it. The city will just take care of it, but then we'll take the trademark. We said, that's fine. So that's how the city got the trademark.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. It was under Jack's watch that we had to do that. They actually had to drop somebody in the water tower in scuba gear, and they had to be covered head to toe with some sort of chemical that would keep them from polluting the water. So they had to swim around inside the water tower and look for light so they could see if there was any leaks or anything, and then inspect the inside. We actually put a giant swizzle stick in the water tower. There's one of those in there, don't you?
No, I didn't hear that.
There is. There's a giant swizzle stick in the water tower. And why would you put a giant stir stick in the water tower? Any ideas? What happens to water in the wintertime?
Freezes. There we go.
And so if you keep it in motion,
Okay, great.
it takes a lot colder temperature to actually make the water freeze. So there is a stir stick in the water tower, and I don't know if it operates, when the temperature gets to a certain level automatically, or do you have a master switch behind your desk where you go, zoom, and turn that thing on?